Hello, Knights of NE and NI. I'm going to come to you today with a video that is a little bit different, really having nothing to do with typology or MBTI or anything else really relevant to this channel other than that it's just real life stuff. And I think hopefully something that'll be really encouraging to you. You know what, if you're struggling at all, if you're looking for answers, um, spoiler alert, I am a Christian. I'm not an evangelist, I'm not an apologist. I usually don't even say anything because I feel like I'm not the best Christian in the world. I'm always like, I feel like God's, redheaded stepchild in the house most of the time. So, I'm really not interested in arguing with anybody. But, what I do have is my story and my true life, which I wanted to share a little bit with you guys today. I've been wanting to talk about this for a little while. The fact that I now have 4 months of sobriety. And if you've watched my channel, some of my older videos, you know that I wasn't sober when I started this channel. Like, I wasn't drunk in any videos. Actually, I was. That's kind of funny because um, a lot of my earlier videos, I was drinking wine with my friend. But yeah, so I was drinking really, really heavily, and I thought that I needed it. And if you think about the fact that I have a very troubling family history of alcoholism and a lot of personal trauma in my life that I was trying to cope with, the alcoholism really spiraled out of control these past couple years, especially with the pandemic. And another reason why I drank heavily is that throughout my life, I've always been a fairly anxious person, and it's affected my sleep a lot over the course of my life, and especially after losing my daughter. The symptoms of like PTSD or whatever would really just run wild at night. And in that first year, I discovered Xanax, and I discovered that if I mixed Xanax with, hard liquor, I could knock myself out for about 5 hours. And so I was doing that for a really long time, and I was thoroughly convinced that I needed it in my life, not just to sleep, but for the alleviation it brought from the really just crushing weight of grief and disappointment in my life that I felt pretty much all the time. As I'm sure you know, it's probably not that difficult to imagine, even for people who don't have children. If you've loved someone, you've loved a family member, the intensity of a very deep bond and love like that. And I mean, it's not, anyways, I'm just babbling. But anyways, so I was drinking really heavily, and I had been praying about it and trying to negotiate with God for a long time to help me just to taper my usage down, because, like, honestly, I really like drinking and I just really didn't want to stop. And I think that's one of the things about addiction is that you get it in your mind that you need something. Like, it's like air or something. the thought of giving it up is very difficult. It's, you know, it's reprehensible because in your mind you do need it. And I guess that's, you know, the brain of an addict. But I around January, I was just in a really, really bad spot. Like, I was super hungover every single morning. Um, I was just exhausted. And you know, I had known for months at that point, really, that um, I was dealing with some liver problems because I told my physician that she knew I was drinking heavily, and she tested my liver function, and it was already, it wasn't great. I was doing serious damage to my body, and yet I kept drinking because, yeah, but anyway, so suffice to say, I was getting to be a pretty severe alcoholic, and I really didn't want to stop, but I just reached this point of like, God, um, this is killing me. And I know if I don't stop, this is going to kill me. And I couldn't moderate my drinking at all. It was always about the same amount, but of course over time it was escalating. And so I'm like, I just have to give it up. I have to stop. And I prayed and I surrendered it to God, and He set me free from it. I haven't had a drink since. I didn't even really have withdrawal symptoms. Just, I mean, like, guys, the grace of God, it's real. It's real. And sometimes He's just waiting for you to surrender something to Him. And then He's there to help you. And I know I remember telling my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm quitting drinking and I'm getting sober. And my mom she had severe alcoholism when I was a kid growing up. And she was like, are you sure you don't want to do like an out care patient facility or whatever, some sort of supervision or, mental health support to help you? And I was like, no, like, really, I'm fine. I feel so much empowerment from the grace of God that I really feel like I'm going to be fine. And honestly, guys, it's been 4 months and haven't had a sip of alcohol. I've been totally fine. God just did a miracle in my life, and this is the point of the video. I just want to share that. Oh, so, there's been lots of times where I've been out with friends and family and other people are drinking and having, beers or whatever. And I get these moments of like, oh, I just wish I just want a little sip or whatever. Just a beer would be good with this, whatever. And then immediately I'm like, no. It's just not worth it. And I really just I have been delivered from alcohol, like where I was craving it so bad. I was drinking probably the equivalent of 10 drinks a night, and or more. I was purposefully not keeping track, but we're talking wine, and most of it was just drinking cheap vodka towards the end, just a lot of cheap vodka. And I like the effects of alcohol. Like, obviously there's a reason why people drink, but I just had to get to this point where I'm like, it's not worth it. It's just I'm envious of people that can just drink a little bit. And just like, I sometimes will watch people in restaurants who get like a glass of wine with their dinner and they just like sip it here and there throughout the meal. I'm like, how are you doing that? Because I would have that thing gone like before I even took a bite of my meal. But whatever. I have alcohol problems, and it is what it is, and I can't drink. And honestly, like, I thought my life would be, I don't know what I thought my life would be without alcohol, but I am really just in a better place mentally than I've been in so long. I am happier. I have a lot more fun. I'm like, I don't need alcohol to have fun. I I don't, and another amazing thing is I don't need alcohol to sleep. I've been sleeping better than probably like I ever have. Like, I mean, Lord knows I'm a coffee junkie and I drink like 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day. And, but still, like, at 10 o'clock, I get tired, I go to sleep, and God has blessed me that my sleep has been really just better than ever. And my mental health, my physical health, like, guys, like, the point of all this is just to say that um, God loves you and God is faithful. And whatever you're struggling with today, if you invite Him into your circumstances and if you will let Him take, some of the reins of control in your life, I know that's really hard. That's really scary for me too. But like, honestly, like, are we really doing that great of a job running our own lives? Not always. I mean, and not if you're like me. But God, His will, His plans, and His purposes towards you are good. And He wants to help you. And yes, God is anti sin because the effects of sin, it just hurts us. It does. And that's why He doesn't want it in our lives. And I'm not saying alcohol is a sin. I don't believe that at all. Jesus drank wine, but for some people, if you're drinking to fill a void, if you're doing anything really to fill a void, it's not going to help you long term. There's this verse in Job about those who turn to worthless idols forfeit the grace they could have had. And that just, to me, it is so sad. It's like we have this hunger, right? This insatiable desire, this need inside of us. And using food as an illustration, maybe we go and we fill up with, because they're just starving, and we fill up with like cheap gas station food, like, like a hot dog and chips and like Little Debbie's or whatever. And that stuff may feel good and satisfying while it's going down, but like, how does it leave you feeling? It's like you feel horrible. You probably get diarrhea. Just saying. Especially if you're eating gas station hot dogs. But that hunger within us, those needs, they're all valid, but they cannot be met by earthly things, is my point. Like, you need God in your life. And life with God is just better. And that is my story. That's my testimony. And another thing, the topic of boundaries comes up a lot on this channel. Maybe it always will. But, healthy boundaries, it's always been an issue for me. And I do finally feel like in my life I'm getting to the point where I can be a loving person, but with boundaries. And before, I felt like to be a loving person, you had to ignore your own gut feelings. You had to give when you didn't want to give and go along with things that you didn't feel comfortable with. And now I'm at the age and at the stage in my life where I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I really want to be a loving and accepting person. And I, you know, I think honestly that's kind of like my natural personality. Um, I just, I want to have like this is really, really INFP, but I want to be on good terms with everybody. I want to put out good vibes and give people a chance. And I don't want to change. I don't want to stop doing that. But I'm going to have healthy parameters around how I am putting myself out there and really, honoring my own gut feelings, my own need for boundaries, and really just continuing to be a loving and accepting person, but really only when it feels right to me, not when I'm feeling like coerced in any way. I'm not going to go along with anything that violates my conscience. And like, am I always perfect at that? No. But I am getting to the point in life where I can do that, unapologetically, and it feels really, really freeing. I have a friend who he's in the same quadrant as I am, and he's not Sealy, which is like the more open-hearted version of FI, the more permeable, giddy, whatever. And he's like, I think it's really admirable that after everything you've been through, you're still like Sealy. And I think honestly, one of the things is just learning to put up boundaries so I can be a very loving and accepting person, but always on my own terms, and kind of like protecting my energy. So, anyways, guys, if you've watched this far, thank you. And I'm always open to talking. If you want to leave a comment, if you would like to know more about Christianity, again, I'm not going to force it on anybody, but I definitely, like connecting with people. So, anyways, guys, I love you. Peace out. Bye.